Can't ask for more if you're the Mountain West heading into March, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, you had a couple overtimes, you had a couple of 3-point bank-ins at the end of regulation, you had a couple of underdogs push some of the better teams in the nation, ranked teams to the wire. I just got off the phone with Leon Rice because I'm working on a story about kind of the rise of the Mountain West. And, he's just raving about this league this year and how competitive these games have been and how hard it is to win away from home and how kind of the perception of the Mountain West has risen to the point where getting 6 bids this year seems more a likelihood than a far-fetched thought. And, you go back, pre-COVID and it was 1 or 2 teams in for 4 or 5 straight years. So to see the Mountain West where it is now, Coach Rice said this is 100% a basketball league. I know I work at a quote-unquote football school, but the Mountain West is a men's basketball league. And really, you look at how this league has performed the last couple of years, and this year in particular, with San Diego State getting to the national title game last year, and now with 6, maybe even 7 teams, if UNLV can make a run at the conference tournament, they've been playing fantastic. It's just fun to watch these teams go at it because these are old teams, these are talented teams, these are athletic teams. And these are teams that seem poised to make some noise at the NCAA tournament level, which is kind of the last thing this conference needs to do outside of San Diego State to prove it is an elite basketball league in the country.
How did we get here to where the Mountain West is this good? Like when do you believe that transition started?
I think it's the coaching, right? I mean, Leon's been here a long time. He started in the WAC. If you have great coaches, you're going to have great programs. And Steve Alford left the league for a while. He's now back in Nevada. Obviously, Dutch has done a phenomenal job. I think Nico Medved's a very, very good coach. Utah State continues to hit on their coaches, even though they may lose them to, other programs that are greener pastures. I think Richard Pitino has done a great job in 3 years at New Mexico, getting that program back to where it needed to be. UNLV was in the doldrums for a while. And I know Kevin Kruger hasn't all the way gotten the Rebels back to, the top of the Mountain West, but there are 6 or 7 or 8 really good coaches in this league. And I also think COVID has really helped this league. You look at the Mountain West top 10 scorers, 6 of those players would not be eligible this year if not for the extra COVID year. So this is a very old league, specifically at point guard, really outside of UNLV and maybe Boise State. All the point guards in this league are very, very old. And those are your quarterbacks. Those are your guys running the team. So I think, the greatness of the coaches, the passion of the fan bases, and then you add in the fact that the Mountain West, I think, has really done a good job getting older teams and taking advantage of that extra COVID year. You add all of that up, as well as, scheduling really well and smartly in non-conference, getting some quality wins. And it puts them in a position where they do have 6 teams in the top 40 of net, and they do deserve 6 teams in the NCAA tournament.
Chris Murray, Nevada Sportsnet, with us right now on John and Jim. You mentioned non-conference scheduling. Are you in favor of keeping the conference schedule the way it is or expanding the conference schedule and going round robin?
I like round robin. I like a true test of who is the best team in this league. So if you're Nevada, you had to go play at Utah State. Utah State didn't have to come to you. And you're probably feeling if Utah State came to you, you would win that game, and now you would be in the driver's seat to win the Mountain West. I think there's a little bit of fluff on everyone's schedule when you look at the non-conference. I think it's going to be harder and harder to schedule good non-conference games with this conference realignment and the Power Four kind of gobbling up more schools. They're going to start playing larger conference schedules. So I think you can get a really good schedule out there with your 11 games if you play in an MPE. So I would be in favor of expanding that and making sure you're playing a true round robin of 20 games, 10 at home, 10 on the road. I know some schools, San Diego State in particular, maybe not in favor of that, but I do want to see a true champion crowned during the regular season. I think the only way you do that is by having everyone play the exact same schedule.
Is this year maybe one of the first years where going into the Mountain West Conference tournament, we have, and maybe you'd feel the same way, like it could go so many different directions as far as who will come out the winner of that tournament and get the automatic bid?
I think so. I think the top 7 teams in this league, including UNLV and the 6 teams in line for an NCAA tournament, are all capable of winning this tournament. I think they're all roughly even in terms of quality. I think San Diego State's the best team in this league. I think Boise State's the second best team in this league. And I think New Mexico has the highest ceiling because I think offensively, they're a little bit more explosive than your average Mountain West team. Now, they don't always put it together, but I think when they play their best basketball, they're probably the best team in this league. And I think if you're Nevada and, you started the season 15-1 and you are now 7-1 in your last 8 games, you're probably feeling like you deserve to be the best team in this league. Utah State's probably going to end up winning the regular season. So there are so many high quality teams in this league, but I do think it will come down to the NCAA tournament. I mean, obviously San Diego State went on that miracle run last year, But you look at the history of this league in the NCAA tournament, you got to go back to 2013, the last time two teams from the Mountain West won a game in one single NCAA tournament. Since the conference realignment, the current membership set in 2013-14, only two teams from this conference have won an NCAA tournament game. 2018 Nevada, which made it to the Sweet 16, and obviously San Diego State in multiple years. While I think this league is good, I think you are judged on how you do in the NCAA tournament. And if the Mountain West gets 6 teams in and they go something like 2-6, people are going to point to that and say overrated. You have to go out there and have 3-4 teams advance, a couple teams to the Sweet 16, if you truly want to say we are one of the best leagues in the nation, and we have now proven it on the national stage.
All right, that actually leads me to a couple of talking points. So over, under, I'll throw out a number. I think we've done this. 3, if they get 6 in, if I gave you an over, under of 3.5 wins, it's a big number, like what you just said. And the San Diego State had 5 themselves a year ago. I mean, how would you feel about that? Is that going to be you could have a couple of these teams wearing home white uniforms in their opening round game, but is that a reasonable number? What, 3.5 for the league in terms of tournament wins?
Yeah, I think you got to go over that. I think if you go 3-6, I don't think people are going to say that was a good showing. I think you need 4 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins. I would set the over-under on a good NCAA tournament for the Mountain West, depending on the seedings, at least 4.5, if not 5.5. And I think that's the impressive thing about this year. You know, San Diego State could be a 3 or 4 seed. Utah State could maybe be a 6 seed. You know, Boise State, if they, you know, win out and win the Mountain West regular season championship, you know, they could be a 6-7 seed. And that's what Coach Rice, when I was talking to him just a few minutes ago, was talking about, is they've struggled in the NCAA tournament because the seeding has not been commensurate with what the Mountain West teams think the quality of their teams are. You can only say that for so long, though. I think you have to go out there and you got to win games, no matter what your seed is. You go back to 2013, when the Mountain West had 5 teams in, they went 2-5. That's not good enough. You got to win, you know, 5, 6, 7 games. You need a couple teams into the Sweet 16. I think a huge glass ceiling was broken last year when San Diego State made it past the Sweet 16. This conference has been around for 24 years, had never gotten past the Sweet 16. I think San Diego State showed, no matter if you're from the Mountain West or the ACC or the SEC or the Big 12, you can make it all the way to the Final Four. And I think that does give a lot of hope to the rest of these teams this year.
Jaylen Ds Year for you, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a phenomenal year. I mean, you look at what the Mountain West did in non-conference. I think it was much, much stronger than last year. I think they deserve to have, you know, 5, 6, 7 teams in, you know, depending upon how UNLV does. I mean, UNLV is playing great basketball right now. So I just think it's been really exciting to be able to watch these games, report on these games. I mean, you look at the Nevada Colorado State game last night. Jared Lucas banks in a half-court shot to win the game at the buzzer, and then is taking bows in front of basically a sold-out crowd. Like, you have to love that if you're a fan of the Mountain West, that there is so much drama in these games. You look at the Nevada game against San Diego State at Lawler Event Center. That was a game the Aztecs probably felt like they had, and then it goes to overtime, and then Keenan Blackshear kind of takes over. And there's just been so many interesting storylines throughout the year. And I think it's been really fun to be able to watch this evolve. And if Utah State ends up on top, I mean, I think Danny Sprinkle is the national coach of the year, given that he inherited 0 points from last year, and now is just a couple of wins away from winning what many people consider to be the best Mountain West ever.
Chris Murray, Nevada Sportsnet. Chris, before you go, who is the player of the year in the Mountain West?
It's got to be Jaylen Ds, which is kind of funny. So his dad, Herb, played for Nevada back in the early 1990s, which I didn't actually even know until Jaedon kind of bust on the stage in the NCAA tournament last year. I think he's been the most dominant player. I think he's been the hardest player to stop. I think he's been the best all-around player. I think there are a lot of really talented players in this league, but if Jaylen Ds doesn't win the award, I think that's wrong. He will be who I am voting for when I put in my ballot. I just think he has been the best player from the start of the season in non-conference all the way to the end of the season. I know a lot of people like to give best player on the best team, which could be Great Ozabor if Utah State ends up winning the regular season. But to me, Jaylen Ds is the best player in the league, and he's an All-American. I vote on the AP Top 25. He'll be on my All-American ballot as well. I just think he's been absolutely fantastic, and it's been fun to see. Like, this is another guy. If not for that COVID year, he would not be playing college basketball. He would not be blossoming into the player he is. He would not potentially be on the doorstep of the NBA. Everyone matures at different timelines, and it's just been fun to see him in particular, and a lot of players in this league really use that second senior season to their advantage.
Really well said. I think the question now is, Jaedon, will he be a first team or second team All-American. Chris Murray, Nevada Sportsnet. Chris, love your commentary and your perspective and all your writings, and thanks for joining us in San Diego.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Chris Murray on the state of the Mountain West. So he says the league needs more than 3.5 tournament wins. That's a big number.
It is a big number.
The number's 3.5.
Can they win? Can they win 0.75 game? Can they win?
No.
Okay.
But it's just, you get into the tournament, all of a sudden, you're like, oh yeah, they can win some games. Then you're like, oh, up against this team from the ACC or this team from the Big Ten. I mean, it sounds good until you're in the game.
Well, if you have, let's just say 5 teams make it, and 3 of them win their first round game, you just need one of them to make the Sweet 16 and you're good.
Right. Yes, that's true. That's true.